The story of the Tower of Babel is one of the most fascinating narratives in the Bible. Found in Genesis 11 verses 1 to 9, it occurs shortly after the account of Noah and the flood and before the story of Abraham. The narrative seeks to explain why humanity speaks different languages and lives in different regions of the world. Beyond its explanation of linguistic diversity, the story serves as a theological lesson about human pride, ambition, and disobedience to God. The Tower of Babel has attracted the attention of theologians, historians, archaeologists, and linguists for centuries. While the biblical account is primarily a religious narrative, it is set within a historical context that corresponds to the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia. Understanding the historical background of Mesopotamia, the development of cities, and the construction of monumental towers known as ziggurats helps provide a deeper appreciation of the story and its significance. Historical background: the world after the flood. According to the biblical narrative, after the flood, Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, became the ancestors of all humanity. Genesis 10, often called the Table of Nations, describes how different peoples and nations descended from these families. Genesis 11 then returns to a time when humanity was still united by a single language and lived together as one community. The Bible states that as people migrated eastward, they settled in the land of Shinar. Most scholars identify Shinar with southern Mesopotamia, an area located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in present-day Iraq. This region is widely recognized as one of the earliest cradles of civilization. Ancient Mesopotamia, whose name means land between the rivers, was home to some of the world's earliest cities, including Ur, Uruk, Eridu, and Babylon. The region witnessed remarkable advances in agriculture, writing, architecture, mathematics, law, and government. Around 3500 to 3000 BCE, the Sumerians established some of the first urban centers in human history. These cities were characterized by large temples and administrative buildings that demonstrated both religious devotion and political authority. The growth of these cities required cooperation among large populations, making language and communication essential for social organization. The Mesopotamian peoples believed that their cities existed under protection of various gods and goddesses. Religious worship played a central role in daily life, and monumental construction projects were often undertaken to honor these deities. The rise of ziggurats. One of the most important architectural features of Mesopotamian cities was the ziggurat. A ziggurat was a massive step tower built from mud bricks and designed to elevate a temple toward the heavens. These structures serve religious purposes and symbolize a connection between earth and the divine realm. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt, which were primarily tombs, ziggurats functioned as temple complexes. Priests conducted religious ceremonies at the top, where it was believed that the gods could descend to meet humanity. The most famous ziggurat associated with the Tower of Babel is Etemenanke, located in the city of Babylon. Its name is often translated as House of the Foundation of Heaven and Earth. Historical records indicate that Etemenanke was rebuilt and expanded by several Babylonian kings, including Nebuchadnezzar II during the 6th century BC. The structure reportedly stood approximately 90 meters, 295 feet, tall, and was among the most impressive buildings of the ancient world. Many scholars believe that the biblical writers may have been familiar with Babylon's towering ziggurats and used them as a backdrop for the Babel narrative. The biblical story of the Tower of Babel, humanity's unity. Genesis 11 begins by stating that the whole world had one language and a common speech. Humanity was united linguistically and culturally. This unity enabled people to cooperate effectively and undertake large-scale projects. As the population grew, people settled in the plain of Shinar, There they discovered a suitable location for building a city. The text specifically mentions that they used baked bricks and bitumen, natural asphalt, as building materials, which accurately reflect the construction techniques used in ancient Mesopotamia, where stone was scarce. The decision to build the tower. The people said to one another, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." This statement reveals two primary motivations: to make a name for themselves and gain fame, to avoid being scattered throughout the earth. These goals conflicted with God's earlier command to humanity to fill and populate the earth. Rather than spreading out, the people sought to centralize their power and establish their own greatness. The phrase "reach the heavens" likely reflects both the immense height of the tower and humanity's desire to elevate itself. The narrative portrays this ambition as an expression of pride and self-sufficiency. God's response. The Bible states that God came down to observe the city and tower that the people were building. Seeing their unity and determination, God recognized that nothing they planned would be impossible for them if they remained united in their rebellious purpose. To prevent their prideful project from continuing, God confused their language so that they could no longer understand one another. Communication broke down, cooperation ceased, and construction was abandoned. As a result, people dispersed across different regions, forming distinct linguistic and cultural groups. The city became known as Babel because their God confused the language of humanity. The meaning of Babel, the Hebrew word Babel, sounds similar to the Hebrew verb meaning to confuse. However, historically, the name Babylon comes from the Akkadian term Babilu, meaning gate of God. This contrast is significant. While the Babylonians viewed their city as a gateway to the divine, the biblical account portrays Babel as a symbol of human pride and confusion. Theological significance. The Tower of Babel is more than a historical account. It communicates important theological themes. Human pride. The narrative illustrates humanity's tendency to seek glory independently of God. The builders desired recognition and fame rather than obedience to divine purposes. Disobedience. God had instructed humanity to fill the earth. Instead, people attempted to remain concentrated in one location and establish their own security. God's sovereignty. The story emphasizes God's authority over human affairs. Despite humanity's technological achievements and collective power, God remains sovereign over history. Diversity of nations. The account explains the emergence of different languages and cultures from a biblical perspective. Diversity is presented not merely as a social phenomenon, but as part of God's intervention in human history. In conclusion, the story of the Tower of Babel combines theology, history, and symbolism within a powerful biblical narrative. Set against the backdrop of ancient Mesopotamia, it reflects the realities of early urban civilization and the monumental architecture of the region's ziggurats. Historically, the account is closely associated with Babylon and structures such as Etemenanke, one of the largest temple towers ever built. From a biblical perspective, Babel represents humanity's attempt to achieve greatness apart from God. The confusion of languages and the scattering of peoples demonstrate the consequences of pride and disobedience. At the same time, the The story provides an explanation for the diversity of languages and cultures found throughout the world. Thousands of years after it was written, the Tower of Babel remains one of the Bible's most enduring and thought-provoking narratives, offering lessons about humility, unity, and humanity's relationship with God. Thank you for watching. The story of the Tower of Babel continues to raise important questions about human ambition, pride, unity, diversity, and our relationship with God. Although it was written thousands of years ago, many people believe its lessons are still relevant in today's world. What do you think the story of Babel teaches us today?